Have you ever wondered why some people seem to build wealth steadily over time, while others work just as hard and still struggle to get ahead? At first glance, it can be tempting to believe that wealth is simply a matter of intelligence, talent, or luck. But the reality is more complicated. Financial success is often shaped by a combination of personality, habits, access to opportunity, risk management, timing, and the way a person thinks about money. It is rarely just one thing, and it is important to say this clearly from the beginning. Not everyone starts from the same place. Some people are born into families with savings, property, connections, education, and financial support. Others begin adulthood with debt, unstable housing, family responsibilities, limited opportunities, or no safety net at all. So wealth should never be explained only as a reward for good behavior. Circumstances matter. Luck matters. Access matters. But within those circumstances, certain patterns can still make a significant difference over time. One of the strongest is conscientiousness. Conscientious people tend to plan ahead. They organize their actions, keep track of responsibilities, and continue working toward a goal even when progress is slow. They are less likely to rely entirely on motivation because they build systems and routines that keep them moving. In financial life, this can look very ordinary. Paying bills on time, tracking spending, saving consistently, reading contracts before signing them, preparing for emergencies, avoiding decisions that create unnecessary long-term costs. None of these habits appears dramatic. But wealth is often built through actions that look boring in the moment. Small decisions, repeated for years, can become more powerful than one sudden breakthrough. A person does not need to make perfect financial choices every day, but consistency matters. Someone who regularly saves a modest amount, avoids expensive debt, and improves their earning skills may gradually create more stability than someone who earns more but spends without a plan. This is one reason why discipline often matters more than appearance. Many people who look wealthy are not actually financially secure. A luxury car, expensive clothing, or an impressive lifestyle may be funded by debt. Real wealth is often quieter. It may look like savings that no one sees, investments that are left untouched, a paid-off home, low monthly expenses, the ability to handle an emergency without panic, and the freedom to make choices without depending on the next paycheck. Another important difference is the way people relate to responsibility. People who improve their financial position often focus on what they can influence. That does not mean denying unfairness, inequality, bad luck, or difficult circumstances. It means asking, what can I do from here? What can I learn? Which decision is still mine? Where am I losing money? How can I increase my options? This mindset is not about blaming people for being poor. It is about recognizing the value of agency wherever agency is possible. There are situations a person cannot control. But financial progress often begins when attention shifts from what cannot be changed to what can be changed next. Another important factor is risk. Wealth is rarely built without taking any risk at all. Starting a business involves risk. Investing involves risk. Changing careers involves risk. Buying property involves risk. Even asking for a higher salary can feel risky. But wealthy people are not necessarily fearless. They are often better at distinguishing between reckless risk and calculated risk. Reckless risk is driven by excitement, pressure, ego, or the desire to become rich quickly. Calculated risk is based on information, preparation, probability, and the ability to survive if the outcome is disappointing. This difference is crucial. The goal is not to avoid every possible loss. The goal is to avoid losses that can destroy your financial stability. A thoughtful investor may ask, what is the worst realistic outcome? How much can I afford to lose? What do I understand about this decision? What am I assuming? What would happen if the market changed? Do I have enough reserves? This is not pessimism. It is risk management. People who build wealth often take risks, but they try not to gamble with their entire future. They understand that survival matters. If one decision goes badly, they want to remain in a position where they can recover. There is also a major difference between consumption and investment. Consumption gives value now. Investment is meant to create value later. Everyone needs to consume. We need housing, food, transportation, clothing, comfort, and enjoyment. The problem begins when nearly all available money is directed toward immediate consumption, especially when that consumption is financed with expensive debt. A purchase can feel rewarding today while reducing freedom for years. Wealthier people often think more frequently in terms of assets. They ask whether money can be used to produce more money, reduce future costs, increase skills, or create new opportunities. An asset might be an investment account. It might be a business. It might be property. It might be education that leads to higher income. It might be equipment that allows someone to work more efficiently. It might even be cash reserves that prevent a person from taking on costly debt during an emergency. The wealthy do not always avoid spending, but they may be more likely to consider the future effect of a purchase. Will this expense improve my life only today? Or could it strengthen my position tomorrow? This leads to another important pattern: delayed gratification. Building wealth often requires choosing a larger future benefit over a smaller immediate pleasure. That does not mean living without joy. It does not mean refusing every comfort or treating money as something that must never be spent. It means understanding that every financial choice has an opportunity cost. Money used in one direction cannot be used in another. The new phone may mean less money invested. The expensive car may mean a longer period of financial dependence. The impulsive purchase may delay the emergency fund. Small decisions do not destroy a person's future on their own, but repeated patterns can. People who build wealth often train themselves to tolerate the discomfort of waiting. They do not need every reward immediately. They may choose the less impressive option now because they value what it may give them later. More security, more freedom, more flexibility, more control over their time. The way people think about money also matters. Some people see money primarily as something to spend. Others see it as something to protect, and some see it as a tool. A tool can be used to create stability, solve problems, build opportunities, support others, and buy time. Money itself is not moral. It is not automatically good or bad. Its meaning depends on how it is earned, how it is used, and what it allows a person to do. People who feel shame, fear, or guilt around money may avoid looking closely at their finances. They may delay opening bills, avoid checking balances, refuse to negotiate, assume that investing is not for people like them, or believe that wanting financial security makes them selfish. But avoiding money does not make its effects disappear. Financial self-awareness begins with being willing to look. Not with judgment, not with panic, just with honesty. What comes in? What goes out? What debt is growing? What is being avoided? What can be improved? Clarity is often the first step toward change. There is also the role of income. Saving matters, but there is a limit to how much a person can cut. At some point, building wealth may require earning more. That can involve learning a new skill, changing jobs, starting a business, negotiating, creating an additional source of income, or moving into work with greater long-term potential. This is not equally accessible to everyone. A parent with limited childcare, a person with health problems, or someone living in an area with few opportunities may face real barriers. But when opportunities do exist, wealth often grows faster through a combination of controlled spending and increasing income. Cutting expenses can create space. Increasing income can create momentum. Another factor is financial knowledge. People who understand interest, inflation, taxes, debt, diversification, and long-term investing are less likely to make certain costly mistakes. They are also more likely to recognize opportunities. But financial knowledge is not distributed equally. Some people grow up hearing conversations about investments, property, business, and taxes. Others grow up hearing only that money is scarce, dangerous, or impossible to manage. This creates a major difference in confidence. A person who has always been surrounded by financial knowledge may enter adulthood already understanding concepts that someone else must learn from the beginning. That is why education matters. Not because knowledge guarantees wealth, but because ignorance can be expensive. A lack of understanding may lead to high-interest debt, poor contracts, scams, unnecessary fees, or fear of every type of investment. Still, knowledge alone is not enough. Many people know what they should do and do not do it. They know they should save. They know they should avoid impulsive spending. They know they should prepare for retirement. But behavior is emotional. Money is connected to fear, identity, status, childhood, insecurity, reward, and belonging. Sometimes people spend to feel successful. Sometimes they spend because they are exhausted. Sometimes they spend to keep up with friends. Sometimes they avoid saving because the future feels too uncertain to trust. So financial change is not only mathematical, it is psychological. It requires understanding not only where the money goes, but what emotion is driving the decision. There is also the advantage of starting capital. This cannot be ignored. A person who receives help with education, housing, a business, or a down payment begins from a different position than someone who must finance everything alone. Money creates access. Access creates opportunities. Opportunities can create more money. This is one reason wealth often grows across generations. A family with assets can offer children more than cash. It can offer stability, time, connections, better schools, internships, advice, the ability to take risks without immediate disaster. A young person with family support may be able to start a business, work for low pay in a promising field, or move to a city with better opportunities. Someone without support may need to choose the safest immediate income, even if it limits long-term growth. The choices may look different because the risks are different. This is why comparing outcomes without comparing starting points can be misleading. Two people may appear to make the same decision, but one has a safety net and the other does not. For one person, failure is an inconvenience. For another, it could mean eviction, debt, or losing access to healthcare. Luck also plays a role. Meeting the right person, entering an industry at the right moment, buying an asset before its value rises, avoiding an illness, being born in a stable country, receiving an unexpected opportunity. These things can change a financial life. Successful people sometimes underestimate luck because they remember their effort more clearly than the circumstances that helped their effort succeed. Unsuccessful people may underestimate their own effort because the outcome did not reflect how hard they worked. Both effort and luck can be real at the same time. A person can work intelligently and still be unlucky. A person can make mistakes and still benefit from favorable circumstances. Wealth is not always proof of wisdom. Poverty is not always proof of irresponsibility. But even though luck cannot be controlled, preparation can affect what happens when opportunity appears. A person with savings may be able to act when an opportunity comes. A person with useful skills may be ready when a better position opens. A person with knowledge may recognize an opportunity that someone else overlooks. This is where habits and luck sometimes meet. You cannot control when the door opens, but you can improve the chance that you are ready to walk through it. There is also a difference between becoming wealthy and staying wealthy. Making money can require ambition, risk, creativity, and speed. Keeping money often requires patience, caution, diversification, and restraint. Some people earn large amounts and lose them because they never learn how to protect what they built. They increase their lifestyle every time their income rises. They take bigger and bigger risks. They assume success will continue forever. They confuse high income with permanent security. But wealth can disappear. Markets change. Businesses fail. Health changes. Jobs end. Relationships break down. That is why financial resilience matters. Resilience means having reserves, avoiding excessive debt, not depending on one income source when possible, protecting against major risks, and resisting the pressure to make every success visible. The need to appear wealthy can become one of the greatest obstacles to becoming wealthy. A person may sacrifice real security in order to display success, but genuine financial strength is often invisible. It is the ability to say no, the ability to leave a harmful job, the ability to survive a crisis, the ability to help someone without harming yourself, the ability to choose time over money when necessary, the ability to sleep without constant fear of the next bill. So what truly influences wealth? It is not one secret habit. It is not one personality type. And it is not a simple division between people who work hard and people who do not. Wealth is shaped by a complex combination of discipline, opportunity, education, income, risk, family background, health, timing, habits, systems, and luck. Some of these factors are personal. Others are structural. Some can be changed. Others cannot. But understanding the difference matters, because financial growth becomes more realistic when we stop relying on myths. The myth that wealthy people are simply better. The myth that poor people are simply careless. The myth that one perfect investment will change everything. The myth that saving alone is enough. The myth that hard work always produces the same result. A healthier approach is more honest. Acknowledge the advantages you have. Acknowledge the barriers you face. Take responsibility for the decisions that are yours. Protect yourself from risks you cannot afford. Learn the rules of money instead of avoiding them. Build habits that support the future. And remember that progress does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it is a debt slowly becoming smaller, a savings account slowly becoming stronger, a skill slowly becoming valuable, a lifestyle becoming less dependent on approval, a person becoming calmer around money because they finally understand where they stand. Wealth is not only about having more, it is also about needing less to prove who you are. It is about creating choices, creating stability, creating room to breathe. And perhaps the most important shift happens when money stops being a symbol of worth and becomes what it was always meant to be: a tool. A tool that can be used wisely, imperfectly, and intentionally to build a life with greater freedom, security, and possibility. If this perspective gave you something to think about, let me know in the comments. Which matters more in building wealth? Habits, opportunity, or luck? And if you enjoy thoughtful videos about psychology, money, human behavior, and personal growth, Subscribe to the channel for more.